Hello, everyone. My name is Poe Daub.
And I'm Christina Akoma.
And we are the student funding coordinators at Size City, and we're super excited for the 2026 Startup Yale Manolo Sanchez Prize pitch-off. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge where we are and those who occupy this land before us. We acknowledge that indigenous peoples and nations, including Mohegan, Mashantucket Pequot, Eastern Pequot, Schaghticoke, Golden Hill Paugussett, Niantic, and the Quinnipiac and other Algonquin-speaking peoples have stewarded through generations the lands and waterways of what is now the state of Connecticut. We honor and respect the enduring relationship that exists between these peoples and nations and this land. Thank you.
So let's kick off the competition. The Manolo Sanchez Prize will award $25,000 to a for-profit, non-profit, or community-led initiative that aims to create and/or improve access to financial services for individuals in underserved communities, by which we mean underbanked, underfunded, or underinsured, just to name a few examples. Manolo Sanchez is passionate about financial inclusion and finance that can empower communities, particularly by using technology to increase accessibility to financial services. He spent 30 years in finance, including a tenure as CEO of BBVA US. He now teaches classes on fintech, crypto, and blockchain at Rice University. Manolo, would you like to make some remarks?
Well, thank you. It's a joy to be here. It's the second time I come in person for this award, so I got to work with judges. Thank you for your time and being here. The first edition of this prize was during the pandemic, and so it was all remote. But being here makes all the difference. So I'm so happy I was able to be here in person, the energy, and listen to the pitches. So I think I'm very passionate about financial inclusion, and I think the Yale folks are also very passionate about making the world a better place. And I think this is like the convergence of those two aspirations. So I'm looking forward to the presentations, and thank you again.
Now we'd like to welcome our wonderful panel of judges. Kelsey Baker is an independent consultant focused on social and economic justice. She helps organizations scale their impact through partnerships, capacity building, and capital deployment. Rashmi Pense is an impact investing specialist. Sorry, if you guys want to say anything, you're welcome to. But is an impact investing specialist whose work has centered on directing private capital into sustainable and socially responsible initiatives. She's currently a member of New York City's Urban Design Forum's Lifelong Forefront Fellow cohort, focusing on helping older adults age in place.
Eileen Koo is a seasoned nonprofit executive whose work centers and amplifies the voices of first-generation students and people of color. She is currently affiliated with the EGF Accelerator, the Heckscher Foundation for Children, and NationsWell. David Femi is the regional manager for business and professional banking at M&T Bank, serving Fairfield County and Southern Connecticut. He is skilled in improving the financial health of numerous communities through financial wellness programs. So welcome to our wonderful judges.
So today we're going to be hearing from 4 teams, and what's going to happen is each team will have 5 minutes to pitch, followed by a 5-minute question and answer session from our judges. But judges aren't the only ones who get to vote. This is big, you guys. We are also asking you, our audience, to vote on which team had the best pitch. The team which receives the most ballots will be awarded the Audience Choice Award, which is $2,000. At the award ceremony later today, we'll announce the grand prize winner as well as the Audience Choice winner. To share the wealth, the winners will be on 2 separate teams. So please be sure to stick around this afternoon. This is Uyuka.
Hi. Now we're ready for our first team to pitch. Our first team helps smallholder farmers access carbon markets and get paid for regenerative land practices. Please put your hands together and welcome Sky Soil.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Luke Schubert. And we are here to talk with you today about how Sky Soil is unlocking new income streams for farmers through carbon markets. Farmers are, at the moment, leaving money on the table. By 2034, the agricultural carbon market is expected to hit nearly $1 billion. However, smallholder farmers in particular are unable to capitalize on this gain due to convoluted rules and high upfront costs associated with carbon market registration. Accessible, transparent carbon monitoring is the key to unlocking these barriers and leveling the playing field for small farmers. Carbon is complicated, and what we're basically trying to do at SkySoil is reduce that complexity for smallholder farmers. So as you can see here, these are the 7 general steps that are required in order to issue and sell carbon credits. What we have identified are 3 major bottlenecks that lead to smallholder farmers in particular not being able to access and go from the very beginning to the sale of their credits. So what this looks like within SkySoil is a free online soil carbon credit estimation tool that helps monitor fields using satellite remote sensing data. We optimize the carbon assessment of these smallholder farm fields by verifying regenerative practices. And we also connect farmers to investors in carbon programs by generating audit-ready reports. So this is a little bit about what our app looks like. As you can see, there's a lot of other stuff going on here, but generally what we're able to do is provide general carbon stock estimations for anywhere in the world. You just click on a pixel and it shows you that data. You can also draw an area or an outline of a farm area. We also provide some information on basic carbon economics and the general revenue that a farmer can expect by using this tool. So SkySoil unlocks a new income stream for farmers by following this user journey. What we do is we start with smallholder farmers enrolling in SkySoil. We monitor to see whether or not regenerative agricultural practices are being engaged on the ground. And this is often something that farmers are engaged with to begin with. These are cover crop, no-till practices. We help them issue carbon credits in order to sell for profit and generate revenue. So these are some of the basic carbon economics that are pretty typical for regenerative agricultural carbon programs. Generally, you can sell these credits for $10 to $20 per ton. There's about 0.2 to 1 tons of carbon per acre, so this looks at $2 to $20 per acre per year potential for farmers. So this can be a really impactful new revenue stream for smallholder farmers, particularly in other parts of the world. So part of the reason why today's system excludes small farmers is due to the expensive and complicated manual sampling and verification process that's involved in carbon registration. This typically results in only large and institutional farms being the recipients and registrants of these carbon programs. So through satellite monitoring and automated verification, we're able to target the sampling of these farmer fields, and we're able to create these audit-ready reports that help accelerate the time to market for these small farms. So all of this is built really for these small to medium-sized farmers. And this is kind of just a basic map to show that we've identified the cost and capability metrics. So we've been able to develop on-par remote sensing models with these similar large institutional corporations that are based on focusing these carbon programs on large multi-thousand hectare projects. But we're able to do it in a really cost-effective way that is really beneficial for these smallholder farmers. So this is our current timeline. We've built our MVP. We've started talking to customers. Where we're going is to scale our technology, deploy our products, and expand into other parts of the world, particularly Latin America. So far we built our MVP, we've designed our MRV system into how that connects with the carbon programs, and we've contacted over 100 potential users and started developing relationships with them. So what we need this funding for is to scale our products. We want to be able to deploy these products, put them in the hands of farmers, get them using them, and make sure that this is something that's actually useful for them. We want to onboard new team members that will help us expand into other locations, particularly in Latin America. And we want to generally make carbon finance viable globally for all farmers. So this is our team. I was the former head of product, Open Forest Protocol. We built very similar tools, but for forest restoration and forest carbon. Within the carbon markets and digital verification. Andrew is a remote sensing researcher who's previously worked at NASA and done various research on remote sensing products. And we think we're the team to build this. So thank you so much. Love some questions. Yes?
Why Latin America?
Latin America is geographically somewhat close to us, and there tends to be a shift in the farmer demographics in that region of the world. So like the Mercosur region, the Cerrado region of Brazil, there's lots of smallholder farmers that are kind of limited, and we think that we can really make a big impact there.
Can you tell me more about the shift?
The shift?
Yeah, when you say there's a shift in the farm.
So like in America, in North America, there's been a shift over the last 100 years towards large industrial scale farms where, like I have a good friend grew up in Wisconsin. He says there's no family farms there anymore, right? A lot of those are very big industrial farms, thousands of hectares minimum in order to reach that cost effectiveness. That's not the case in other parts of the world where there's more subsistence agriculture, smallholder farms where, there's just not that sense of scale. So this can be a really impactful solution, we think, because it's unlocking that new income stream. Yeah.
Do you mind sharing a little bit more about access and cost to farmers that are participating in this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a little bit on that. So what we right now are planning is a acreage-based monitoring fee. So whatever the end result carbon net revenue that these projects generate, we'll be taking a percentage of that. We're looking at 10 to 15%. We're still working that out. It's still probably going to be something that we are working with farmers and working with users to determine the right revenue model for that. But yeah, that's kind of the option. Right now, there's huge upfront costs in order to get registered in a carbon program. You have to go through consultants. You have to spend a lot of time verifying this. We're trying to cut out as much of that as we can and make it as streamlined for them as possible.
You talked about carbon credit.
Yes.
Can you talk to me about any existing government programs, if there's any?
Yeah.
And how do you plan on integrating this work with any government partnership?
That's a great question. So the global carbon market has been around since the early 2000s. The Kyoto Protocol was the kind of big UN international consortium that sort of pushed that through. A lot of those projects are hundreds of thousands of hectares. They are very, very big, and they're focused mostly on forest protection. In agricultural carbon, where we're kind of storing carbon in the ground and then measuring that, that's been less developed. Only until recently, this last year, in August of 2025, Vera, the largest voluntary private carbon registry, and created a new tool for using remote sensing. So we're kind of operating outside of the government sphere and focus more on the private voluntary sector. And there's reasons for that I can get into, but yeah, so there are some government programs that we can get involved with, but most of what we're focusing here is on the voluntary carbon market and the voluntary sort of private market that's resulting from that. Yeah. Yes.
Well, you touched on your fee, but I'm just curious about what costs you're facing, just how the economics works.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things that we are hoping to use this money for is our model right now is based on Google Earth Engine, which as a non-commercial product is totally free to use. If we commercialize this, though, we'll need to be paying them for computing. So that's kind of the primary cost on our end that we're looking at is computing cost and then also hosting data servers and collecting this data from hosting and collating this data from farmers in order to create the reports and things like that. All of that costs money. It's not significant. It scales. It is significant when you scale, but in order to get it started, we would need some upfront capital.
And then just to follow up, since you're looking at smallholder farmers,
Yeah.
is that viable still? Do you see what would your margins be on that?
Absolutely. The margins are tough because we're still working out the revenue model, and it'll also be dependent on the credit volume that's issued by these farmers. As I mentioned, there might not be too many credits that are coming out of an individual farm. This might be a significant revenue for someone in various parts of the world, but for us, to compute, it's not even 1/100th of a cent sometimes in order to push that through. If we're doing multiple hundreds or thousands of computations using these computer systems, then it can rack up the fees. So. Yeah.
So can you go back to the scanning?
Yeah.
So how accurate is this technology?
Yeah. Andrew, you want to take that?
It's pretty accurate. So this model that you see on the screen right now is built off of a methodology, a tool within a methodology called VT0014. That accounts for basically everything that's in the soil. It needs a 90% confidence interval that what you're detecting on your remote sensing image is actually on the ground or not. It's kind of cool because the methodology and the tool are model agnostic. You could use something like a simple linear regression, or you could use something super complex like a neural network. No matter what you use though, you have to still reach the carbon registry's benchmarks for accuracy. And you're not just looking at the stuff from the satellite, you're also taking on-the-ground samples that are validating. So as soon as your validation metrics go below the 90%, those carbon credits become unusable, right? So the value proposition that we're providing is that we have a model that is proven to detect the soil carbon within 90% confidence.
Okay, that is time. Thank you, Sky Soil.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have a team easing barriers to equity ownership and start building wealth early. Please welcome Chet.
Yeah, could I put my phone on here? Okay, amazing. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cal. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cal, K-A-L, and I'm the founder of Chet. Gen Z wants to start investing, but the current system makes it very difficult. According to FINRA and the CFA Institute, 65% can't start because they don't have enough savings, 64% because they're living paycheck to paycheck, and another 56% cited a lack of education. But from that same study, the number one ability to change them and to get them to start was not education, not an advisor, just a lower barrier of entry, the ability to start with small amounts. At the same time, traditional credit card rewards don't help build long-term wealth. Points, they get spent. Cashback, they get absorbed. Neither of them compound or build wealth. What if everyday credit card spending could help you automatically build long-term wealth instead? Chet is that barrier removed. Chet helps young adults, a group of users who are financially underserved, access to capital markets and begin wealth building early in a way that is simple, passive, and familiar. Every time you swipe, your rewards are collected and settled into a ETF at the end of the month, a low-cost S&P 500 ETF. No decisions to make, no out of cash pocket required. The insight is strong. There's no need to put up. People want to invest. The intent to invest is high, but the barrier to investing is. Sorry, give me a second. The intent to invest is high, but the follow through is low. Chet removes that follow through. At the same time, we're encouraging timely and healthy capital credit building. For users who pay up their full balance in full, they can round up and top up with their own out-of-pocket cash. We surveyed over 175 customers, and what was remarkable was of the 105 under 24 respondents that we surveyed, almost 63% of them chose automatic 1% ETF investing over 1% cash back. And that was without discussing or being informed of the negatives and disadvantages of cashback. Chet is unique in that we won't be issuing credit or custodying assets. Instead, we'll be sitting in the middle, orchestrating between three regulated players. The first is a bank partner brokerage, who will issue the credit and settle the rewards. The second is a program manager, who will be helping with the transaction processing, managing the ledger, and anti-theft. And the third and final one is an execution brokerage, who actually executes the trade, custodies the assets, and helps with the tax reporting. On this front, we've also made tremendous progress. We started outreach 1 week ago, and we have already talked to 2 potential bank partners, 1 potential program manager, and 1 brokerage partner one potential brokerage partner. Our go-to-market pilot is ambitious but attainable, starting with a targeted beta launch of 200 users this fall 2026. Our go-to-market strategy will be based around 3 campus pilots here at the Yale University, University of New Haven, and Southern Connecticut State University. The goal of the pilot is to validate unit economics and validate user retention in a closed and controlled environment. The $25,000 from the Manolo Sanchez Prize will help us develop the 5,000 person user waitlist, develop our prototype for our application, and ultimately help us prepare for a seed funding raising round of up to $500,000 when we want to roll out the broader pilot. We have a strong team. I'm a lawyer by training. I've practiced law in London, Silicon Valley, and New York, and I'm a corporate lawyer by training, which will be a huge advantage to help us in terms of negotiating partnerships, compliance with legal and regulatory regulations, and securities compliance. I'm very excited to have Alexis, a Yale College junior, who will be helping with our branding and growth of the waitlist. Unfortunately, Handsome Dan won't be joining us, but we are actively recruiting a technical lead. Our advisors, we have a strong board of advisors. We have David Anderson, who leads a nationwide financial literacy nonprofit, WISE. We have David Argente, an economics professor at the Yale School of Economics, focused on payments. And we have David Nelson. He founded Bumped from 2018 to 2022, the first company to reward customers with fractional shares of stock. David's done it before. We're building on his infrastructure, and he's supporting us. We're very grateful. In 1985, Sears launched the Discover Card. It was the world's first cashback program. The idea seemed radical at the time. People getting money for spending on their credit card, it rewired how the entire industry viewed credit card rewards. Today, Chet is doing the same, and we're asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Do the judges have any questions?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Good job. How do you determine or measure success with your go-to-market strategy, focusing on those 3 campuses that you highlighted?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think our primary focus on success will be continued user retention and payment of balance in full. I think for us, those are the primary focuses as we kind of launch, before we launch more broadly. Yes.
Who are your target pilot users?
Primarily college undergraduates between the ages of 18 to 22. But we may also kind of have a sub-pilot group that's more Gen Z and wider ranging.
Are you ever going to look at any financial threshold, like low-income students, underrepresented students?
Yeah, that's something we'll have to work out with the banks, but we'd really do, because we're focusing on the 3 colleges that we've chosen, we want a diverse representation of people who all need access to finance and credit.
Do you mind sharing a little bit more about the risk mitigation, both on the side of the student users as well as the regulatory side of things?
In terms of?
Yeah, just in terms, you've mentioned partnerships with brokerages and banks. Do you mind just sharing a little bit more about what that structure might look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a bit of a detailed regulatory infrastructure. A lot of it will be actually contractual in terms of working with regulated partners. So for example, we'll be working with a brokerage. One of them is Alpaca, we've spoken with, and they are SIPC insured. So all the custody, all the securities held by consumers, they are guaranteed up to $500,000 by the federal government. Similarly, if we're looking for a bank, well, all banks are FDIC insured, so we're very much looking for a regulated bank that we'll be working with to do that. And through those contractual mechanisms, we'll essentially kind of ensure that all regulations are complied with and allocated to one of the existing players. Yes, please.
Can you talk about a little bit about the landscape for this? You mentioned sort of within the credit card points and rewards, but other sort of fintech apps that are aiming to help folks either save some of what they're learning. I think last year, Wealth Me Up was one of the winners with their solution. Just how this would fit in, especially for the target audience.
No, absolutely. So I think the big difference, there exists a lot of financial education apps like Acorns, Wealth Me Up. I think the big difference and what's novel about Chet is that we're pulling from the credit card interchange revenue and using that for the consumer instead of letting it sit idle and rest for the companies, the banks primarily. We will be focusing on education as well. A lot of this will become to educating on the fact that it's very hard to beat the S&P 500 in the long run, even if you're an active professional money manager. And that's a large premise of what our company is built on. Thank you.
Do you foresee any challenges when it comes to the CFPB and rolling out your plan here?
The CFPB?
Yes, CFPB.
Yeah, we do actually. I think there's going to be a lot of discussions ongoing. I think because this is a very novel concept that we're trying, we are engaging legal counsel. David Nelson from Bumped has very helpfully connected us already with someone from Lowenstein Sandler to get a pre-legal opinion of all the potential challenges that can come. and we definitely expect some frictions and some discussions, but we're excited to work through them.
All right. Thank you, Chen. Teach them how to fish, and you feed them for a lifetime. Our next team teaches people how to farm chicken and feed Rwandans. Please welcome Safari Strives.
Is it okay if I use my natural voice?
Excuse me, sir. We're recording, so we need to use the microphone for the record, and only that reason. Thank you.
Is that also recording too? Because we have both.
Both of those are live, yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eli Mani. I'm the founder of Safari Strives, and I'm a profit organization that is operating in Gisenyi, Rwanda.
And my name is Imano Wajikum. I lead the tech integration approach to Safari Strives. At Safari Strives, we are focused on stabilizing precarious work and scaling businesses, and today we're going to show you exactly how we do that.
So this journey started about 7 years ago when I first arrived in the United States. I remember my very first stop was at a Burger King restaurant. I was handed a cup and so that I could refill as many times as I want. And that moment stuck with me. You see where I'm from in Rwanda, soda was and still is something that many children drink only on special occasions, whether it's Christmas or New Year's. Yet here I was holding an extra large cup in front of a soda machine. And I couldn't help but ask, how is this level of abundance possible? And this is what led to Safari Strives. And for the past 4 years, we've been answering a similar question. How do you move people beyond survival and into prosperity? And we have tried a variety of methods. We have tried giving livestock. We have tried giving unconditional cash transfers. We have tried giving in-kind loans and microloans. And we have tried different iterations of humanitarian interventions. Yes, while we've seen some momentum, we realized that we weren't really answering the deeper problem. The real challenge is that too many people are financially excluded and many remain stuck in precarious work. And this is because many businesses are missing the building blocks for growth, namely working capital, business systems, and market access. The Safari Strives will exist to close this gap and turn unstable earnings into stable jobs and stable businesses.
A core part of our model is that we do not want our impact to stop once external donation slows down. And so we built a cash-generating business that helps fund our work. With $7,500 in seed capital, we built a poultry farm that has generated over $20,000 in just under 1 year. Now we have a monthly net income of $1,150, and this is very significant in Rwanda because it is about 23 times the paid average monthly income. This cash flow is what helps fund the rest of our model. In Gisenyi last year, we started putting this cash flow to work. The poultry farm helped us build a print and tailoring hub for women with molding machines, including electric sewing machines and laser engraving machines. The cash flow also helped us furnish a modern bathroom for the women so they can work in dignity and in safety.
So the poultry cash flow is also helping us accelerate innovative local businesses. Take Ijisho, for instance, the founder of Ijisho. And Ijisho is an art and craft business. So when we started working with Ijisho, we realized that he had an issue. And it's that he had an issue between scaling and surviving. Every month he had to choose between the two. And we realized that surviving really always wins. But when we started working together, we realized that, this is an individual with a very strong brand, as well as a great market for his product. For example, mirrors are Prosper's main product, and the large mirror costs about $10 to produce and sells for about $29. So when we stepped in first, we made sure to verify his business. Then we integrated him into our trial process with $750 in inventory support. The first batch sold out in just less than 1 week. So a model like this requires strong local infrastructure. So we have partnered with one of the largest churches in Rwanda, and through a formal long-term agreement, they have agreed to provide us literally with free land for the poultry farm, free space for the tailors, and just as important, they help us out with local verification, accountability, as well as access to key volunteers.
That is why we are now asking for $25,000. We already have a system that works, and this funding would explode its impact. It will help us build 3 additional farms, taking us from 1 farm to 4, while generating more profit that we can reinvest into the rest of our model. Together with the 4 farms, we are projecting to generate $82,000 in annual revenue and $55,000 in annual net income. We have already secured the 1.5 hectares of land needed to make this happen, and this matters a lot because land is usually the biggest startup cost in the poultry business.
So we believe that Ijisho is ready to scale. Based on similar local businesses that we have evaluated, we're estimating that if we take $10,000 from the poultry income and reinvest it into Ijisho, we'll be able to employ at least 20 people by 2027. And the goal here is that for every business we help fund, it helps us scale the next business. And that's creating a cycle of reinvestment and equity that is tied to community impact.
This model is powered by 2 coordinated teams in the US and Rwanda, bringing expertise in academic research, economics, tech, communications, environmental sustainability, as well as on-the-ground execution. Together, we have the capabilities to deliver real results.
So to conclude, starting with my local town, we have already proven that opportunities can be built, sustained, and replicated. The poultry business is what sustains us. It has already helped us fund the print and tailoring hub. It is helping us accelerate ready-to-scale businesses. So what we're doing is not a one-time intervention. It is a structured downstream impact. And with the Manolo Sanchez Prize, we're ready to scale across Rwanda. Thank you very much.
Can you talk about some of the outcomes and eventual ways you're planning to sort of show impact, not just financially, but then, you know, in the community to indicate prosperity?
Yes. So usually, the main goal of what we do is that when we talk about Africa, you know, for a long time, you know, we like, oh, Africa is the richest continent in the world. They have a lot of natural resources, but at the same time, it's really one of the poorest continents that exist. But then our solution is that how can we help people really understand a bottom-up approach? Be innovative, whether it's business, whether it's technology. We don't even have to rely on natural resources. So one way that we're going to measure impact, you know, with the Shisha, for instance, is that is he really employing people? And how many people is he employing? And we've already identified a number of people that he can employ for his business. And we also it's based on a benchmark with other businesses that have, the other accelerators that have done this before. So that is one way that we're doing it. And another way is that we also still do humanitarian work. Of course, you know, we don't rely on this, but at the same time, there are people that still need humanitarian work, such as we donate eggs every single Sunday, so also helping with the nutrition issue. But for now, we're really focusing on one, you know, giving people businesses, or whether we give them conditions for that business to prosper, such as the tech, the print and tailoring hub, or even accelerating businesses.
You mentioned that the land that you're currently using is donated through the church for the expansion. Would that also be donated land, or are you seeking other partnerships around that?
It's also donated with the church.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just going back to impact, knowing the levels of socio-economic instability on the African continent, even in Rwanda, how do you plan on overcoming those challenges? Plus, knowing there's so much corruption at the local, state, and national levels, do you foresee yourselves partnering with government or private sector? What does that look like?
Yeah, so one thing is that the government do recognize our work. As a matter of fact, when we were shooting our annual documentary last year, we had a mayor office, individuals that came through to see our work, and they validated what we're doing. And in the meantime, we do not see us work with the government. You know, we want to work with the churches, with other similar like non-profit organizations. But if it comes to work with them, we'll eventually work with them. But actually, they do help in other ways, such as this program in Rwanda. If you're a startup, you can start up to 1 year tax-free. If you're a business and you don't have collateral and you want loans, if you show constant banking, they will give you a loan out of free collateral. And actually, the way we want to partner with them is that once we accelerate these businesses, we help them with a healthy banking system, healthy banking behavior, and that will also allow them to also get even more loans from the government, collateral free.
All right, thank you.
All right, last but not least, a team that helps connect resources to families struggling to navigate the healthcare system. Please put your hands together for Haven.
I didn't realize how bright it is up here. Thank you. Every year, millions of patients encounter a secondary crisis in addition to the illness that they're already battling. That's the financial crisis. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bhavya Chauhan. I'm the founder and CEO of Haven, and this is a problem that's deeply personal to me. Growing up, I watched my immigrant mother navigate a very complex and fragmented healthcare system to find financial assistance for my grandmother. That was support that was supposed to be easy to find, but it wasn't. That's why we're building Haven. Haven automatically and seamlessly connects patients to the financial assistance they need in real time, so they can focus on their healing, not bills and paperwork. Currently, the industry operates in a paradox. Pharmaceutical companies are expected to triple their investment in building out access and affordability services to up to $70 billion in the next 5 years, but 84% of patients don't even know these services exist. That results in direct financial impact. That's $3,500 per year per patient that should be going back into the pockets of patients and their families, not to mention the additional healthcare costs incurred by health that is not corrected in real time. Patients are looking for these support services, but they're asking the wrong people. Our providers are already strapped for bandwidth. They're spending more than 2 hours a day on administrative tasks and care navigation, which costs the healthcare system an average of $250 per patient. This is where Haven comes into play. We embed directly into clinical workflows, and we obtain the following data: income, insurance, diagnoses, and medications to connect patients to financial support programs that they should be accessible with in real time. So there's no guesswork on the patient's end, and they get to enroll in the program immediately. Whoop. The product is deliberately simple. There should be a video there, which is not playing, unfortunately, but I can walk you through it. The product is deliberately simple. Once a patient logs into the platform, they should be able to see the programs they're eligible for, exactly catered to their personal needs. With one click, they can enroll into a program that's within seconds. We're eliminating the friction in the enrollment process entirely, creating a program that's personalized, intuitive, and adaptive. Oh, there we go. This creates a win-win across the ecosystem. For pharmaceutical companies, excuse me, for pharmaceutical companies, this means better patient adherence on the patient support programs that they've created. For hospitals and healthcare systems, this means lower readmissions, lower rehospitalizations, and overall lower healthcare costs, even on the admin end. And most importantly, for our patients and caregivers, this means better health overall, physically, mentally, and financially. We differentiate ourselves from our competitor in 3 key ways. We offer resources across therapeutic areas. We cover programs offered by pharmaceutical companies. And most importantly, our AI-powered patient journey engine meets the patient right where they are, so it can tailor the programs that it's recommending to their needs. This is a very large market. It's a $10 to $12 billion TAM. Our initial segment that we're targeting are the community providers that deal with low and middle income patients on the ground. So that's our community care clinics, our community hospitals, and specialty care clinics. Our secondary revenue stream comes from pharmaceutical companies who are invested in making sure patients actually get to use the services that they're building out. We've seen some excellent traction over the last quarter. We've engaged with 50+ stakeholders on the ground, have spoken with 10+ enterprises. We have 25+ active prototype users. And most importantly, we've engaged with 3 community pilot sites in New Haven that could cater to 200,000 low and middle income patients within our community. We are creating this product for people like you and I. It's that young gentleman who is navigating a chronic illness but doesn't know how to pay for his next medication refill. It's for that mother of 2 like mine who's caring for her family and also an aging parent. And it's for that elderly patient who needs financial assistance immediately but does not know where or who to ask. We have a team that's positioned to execute this. We bridge the gap across social entrepreneurship, technology, and healthcare industry expertise. And I've spent 5 years in the pharmaceutical industry, so I know the scale of investment and gaps firsthand. The Manolo Sanchez Prize is catalytic for us. We can finally expand our program database to capture more financial assistance programs and help more patients in need. We also get to pay our wonderful engineers, Jack and Yavin, and we also complete our EHR integration so we can get this product deployed on the ground within this community and beyond. Better health should not mean a financial crisis for patients. And with Haven, it doesn't have to. Thank you. Would love some questions.
Do you mind talking a little bit about the revenue model?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, amazing. So we have a two-pronged revenue model. Our primary customers are community clinics, hospitals, and larger health systems that would pay us at a SaaS enterprise level. So that is then subsidized or complemented rather by the secondary revenue stream coming in from pharmaceutical companies. They deploy a pay-per-use model. So for every patient who is enrolled into a patient support program, we are paid a fees. There's also a licensing fees that they pay us because for every single new product that comes into market, we need to make sure that their portfolio and their suite of programs is kept to date in the product, and so they're paying us a fees for that as well. Of course.
Who else out there is doing what you're trying to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So I'm going to go back to our competitive landscape for a second. So we have a few companies out there that are dealing with certain parts of the patient journey. For example, Ruma Health is doing an end-to-end process in a similar way, but only for patients within rheumatology. Their focus is just for one therapeutic area. We cover all therapeutic areas. Unitas, on the other hand, and Keeper Systems deal with tertiary patient organizations, so patient associations like American Cancer Association, for example, but they are not dealing with pharmaceutical companies and the resources they offer at all. So we are differentiated in the way that we kind of bridge those two elements, offering cross-therapeutic area resources and inclusion of pharmaceutical resources as well. Yes?
From a user kind of experience,
Yeah.
as a patient, how do the bills actually get paid? I'm on a platform and I'm on this and you're like, oh, there are resources, but then how do the bills get paid?
Absolutely. We recognize the frustration in that, and so the user experience is something that we spent an incredible amount of time in, and the 3 screens you see here are the 3 screens that the patient is going to see. Right. So once a patient identifies a program, for example, they want to enroll in the Humira Complete Savings Card, that program is going to help them pay for their medication. So once they enroll into the program, the patient is handed off to the manufacturer mails in a copay card, and the patient takes that right to the pharmacy and pays for their medication. They're not paying anything out of pocket at that point.
Thank you to all the teams that pitched today.